April 2026 Visa Bulletin is out, and we are seeing significant forward movement across multiple categories. In fact, some categories are now current in a way we have not seen since the start of the COVID. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Ramsey Koulen. I'm an immigration attorney with more than 20 years of experience helping individuals and families navigate the US immigration system. Today, I will break down the April Visa Bulletin and explain what it means for you. If you're ready, let's start. So what do these categories mean in the Visa Bulletin? Before we go into the details, let me quickly explain how to read the Visa Bulletin. There are two key charts: dates for filing. This is when you are allowed to submit your application in the United States. And final action dates chart. This is when your green card can actually be approved by the government. Final action dates gives us an idea about what applications they are currently looking. If a priority date is earlier than the listed date, you can move forward. When a category is current, there is no waiting line. You can file immediately. For April, the Department of State released the bulletin, and USCIS confirmed that for April, we will use dates for filing for both family-based and employment-based categories. Let's start with the family-based categories. F2A. One of the biggest updates is the F2A category. F2A's category stands for spouses and unmarried children under 21 or green card holders. Dates for filing is now current. Final action date remains February 1st, 2024. This means eligible applicants can now file Form I-130 and Form I-485 together. I-130 applicants who were waiting for their priority date can now move forward with the adjustment of status application within the US. This is a major development. We have not seen this since the start of the COVID period. F2B. F2B is for unmarried sons and daughters over 21 or green card holders. Dates for filing moved to August 8, 2017. Final action date moved to May 22, 2017. This is solid forward movement and shows improved visa availability. It means the waiting time is getting shorter and more applicants are becoming eligible to move forward. DV lottery. Now let's talk about the diversity visa lottery. One important point to understand is that the DV Visa Bulletin works slightly differently. It is published about 1 month in advance, which means the numbers we see now will apply for May. For the diversity visa category, Europe remains at 20,000, Africa remains at 55,000, with Algeria at 37,000 and Egypt at 30,000. Asia remains at 20,000, with Nepal limited to 10,000. North America, including the Bahamas, remains at 50. Oceania remains at 1,500. South America and the Caribbean remain at 3,000. There is no movement this month across any region. But it is important to look at the global trend. Last year, final numbers closed approximately at Europe 23,000, Africa 58,000, Asia 14,500, North America current, Oceania 1,775, South America and the Caribbean 2,825. 2 years ago, numbers were significantly higher. Africa reached around 75,000, Europe around 30,000, Asia around 15,000, Oceania around 2,000, South America and the Caribbean around 3,150. Let's take a look at how things were at the same time last year. At this point last year, Europe was at 16,000, Africa at 35,000, Asia at 65,000, North America at 20, Oceania at 1,550, and South America and the Caribbean at around 2,250. As you can see, the numbers from the last year are very similar to the numbers from this year. When we compare these trends, we see that visa numbers have decreased across almost all regions. Based on this pattern, we expect that the 2026 DV numbers to be similar to the last year. As you may remember, on December 23, 2025, the Department of State announced a pause on diversity visa issuances. This means that while interviews are still taking place, no final approvals or visas are being issued at this time. However, applicants can still submit their applications. So if your case number becomes current, you should still move forward with your case. This pause is part of a broader review of the DV program screening and security procedures at this point. And at this point, There is no timeline for when visa issuance will resume. Also, let's not forget that DV applicants can no longer transfer their cases to another consulate. You must continue processing through your assigned or local US consulate. Employment-based categories. Now let's move to employment-based categories and see where visa numbers stand. EB2 is now current. EB2 is for professionals with advanced degrees or individuals with exceptional ability. Final action date on EB2 is current. Dates for filing is also current. This is very significant. We have not seen this again since COVID. You can now file I-140 and 485 together, or file I-485 if your I-140 is already approved. This is a major development, especially for applicants waiting on the NIW visa category. If your I-140 is approved, you can now file I-485. If your I-140 is still pending, you need to consult with an immigration attorney to see if it's a good idea for you to file for 485. Let's look at EB3, which is for skilled workers, professionals, and other qualified workers. Final action date moved to June 1st, 2024, and dates for filing is current. This continues a strong positive trend that we haven't seen for such a long time. How about other workers? For other workers, final action date remains November 1st, 2021. Dates for filing moved slightly to August 1st, 2022. Movement here is still limited. This category continues to face high demand and progress is slower compared to EB2 and EB3 professional and skilled workers. So what does all of this mean, and why did the Visa Bulletin move so fast? When we see this kind of forward movement, it usually means one thing. The government believes that more green cards can be issued than originally expected. In other words, visa numbers are not being used as quickly as anticipated. There are several key reasons behind this. First of all, there has been a slowdown in visa issuance, especially at the US consulates abroad. Recent data shows that the United States issued fewer visas in 2025 compared to 2024, including declines in categories such as international students, exchange visitors, and family-based applicants. This slowdown is largely due to increased vetting, travel restrictions, pauses in certain visa interviews, and staffing shortages at US consulates, all of which have reduced overall processing capacity, and hence less applications are being adjudicated and less green cards are being produced. Second, processing limitations and increased scrutiny have reduced approvals in several categories. We are seeing longer processing times at both USCIS and US consulates, including delays in interviews and final decisions. In employment-based and security-sensitive cases, additional review requirements are slowing approvals. Situations such as the recent DV pause also contributed, where cases continued to be processed but not approved, further reducing visa issuance. Third, the government is trying to avoid wasting unused visa numbers. If visas are not used within the fiscal year, they are lost. To prevent this, the government may move cutoff dates forward more aggressively to encourage newer filings. Overall, this movement is not random. It reflects how the government is actively managing visa supply and demand in real time. However, there is an important warning. When we see this kind of forward movement, it often leads to retrogression later. As more people begin filing, demand increases again and cutoff dates may move backward. So the key takeaway is this. If your priority date is current, you should strongly consider filing in April. If the same chart is used in May, you may still have an opportunity, but there is no guarantee that this level of advancement will continue until we see the May Visa Bulletin in mid-April. This is one of the most favorable visa bulletins we have seen in recent years, but timing is critical. If you need help with your case, you should speak with an experienced immigration attorney. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for monthly Visa Bulletin updates and practical immigration insights. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments section below. I will respond to them as quickly as I can.